Oh crap, he's gonna get the gauntlet. Oh my god! Hey guys, what's up? It's Lower Parchment on One, and we are back at it again today with some more Fortnite, except this is going to be a little different because I actually won a match. This was whenever the Thanos event was still around, but I'm going to basically be walking you guys through this game that I won and give you guys some more tips that I picked up as I've gotten better as a player. But before we get on with this video, I would like to go ahead and say please go ahead and follow me on Twitter. That way you can see daily tweets on all the stuff that I do. Make sure to drop a like on this video and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see more awesome content on Fortnite, Subnautica, and a bunch of other different games. Alright, but without further ado, we're going to go ahead and kick off with this match. So at the beginning I decided to drop my normal loot path that I take in Tomato Town right outside, searching these two houses, and then I proceed to rotate into Tomato and then kill some opponents and walk out of there with enough loot. And since this is the Thanos event, you can actually get more loot from a bunch of the buildings and normal drop spots that you would otherwise really have to look hard for. Like, I've never come across anything that was of green rarity that was like an AR or a shotgun or something like that. So everything's pretty easy to come across, and since all the materials that you gather is doubled, it's pretty easy to walk away from these houses with at least 400 to 500 wood. So at this point I'm in the early game phase and I'm just really trying to loot up and getting ready for the Tomato Town rotation that I'm going to be doing. After I finished looting, I decided to go ahead and start making my way across here because I can hear a lot of gunfire going on in Tomato Town. Now right as I make it over the top of this hill, I can actually see a guy right ahead of me that's standing completely still, so that was a pretty easy elimination on this guy. Sorry buddy, night night, back to the lobby. I see another guy impulse nade over the top, and I see this guy also kind of standing still, so I take some pop shots and get all of his shield off of this guy and manage to triple headshot him for some nasty damage and a pretty easy elimination. Now I know that this other guy's still here, so I'm being kind of weary and I see him on top of this building, so I go ahead and throw up some walls just so I don't take any unnecessary damage. Now I actually can see him through his wall walking away, so I knew this was the perfect time to go ahead and push this guy. So I double ramp, but he ended up turning around and I end up trapping myself and putting myself in a weird position. So I decide to turtle up and then reset. So what I do is I flip the ramp around and start working my way back up, and I'm going to try to secure that high ground. Now hearing this guy start shooting, I thought that he would break the ramp, but my mistake, he didn't quite break it, so I ended up throwing the boogie bomb on myself. Now at this point I just decide to go ahead and turtle up, reset, and then try to reestablish control of the high ground. Now he starts pressuring me and he ends up phasing through my ramp there for a little bit of a bug, but he goes over the top and he decides to not wall off right there, so it was a pretty easy elimination and going into a nice little bitty build battle that always gets your heart rate pumping. Now this guy ended up having some really good loot that would help set me up for the later fights that I was going to have. So deciding to shield up and going instantly into heal mode, I decide to rotate around because I hear more gunshots. I'm stopping to grab this pallet because the pallets give a monstrous amount of wood in this game mode. Things are looking pretty good for me right now. The only thing that's kind of low is my materials and my scar ammo. Otherwise I'm doing pretty good. Now coming around this corner I see this guy, so I scope in and try to get a headshot, but unfortunately it doesn't connect, but that's okay because he would have seen me anyway. So it's much better for me to try taking the shot and miss than not take the shot at all and never know. Now this guy's actually standing still, so I thought it would be a pretty easy snipe. Unfortunately it wasn't because he kept moving last second. I mean, if I had been a little more quicker I probably could have gotten it, but I heard this guy port-a-fort, so I knew instantly that I was in trouble. So walling off and then ramping over, I try to hit this guy for a nice headshot, but he ends up building, so I just end up establishing control over the top of him and trying to basically outplay him from the high ground. Now, not knowing if there's any more opponents around, I decide to do a full turtle mode wall and ramp right there and wait for this guy to jump out. Now, this ends up getting a little tricky because he doesn't end up actually trying to push me for the high ground. He tries to reestablish like some kind of grip, and he starts standing still again thinking I can get a snipe. Unfortunately still doesn't connect, so that's okay. just taking pop shots, trying to get this guy at a disadvantage and knock off some of his shields since I'm pretty low myself. Now running out of Scar ammo here, I'm in trouble because I can't knock down any of his walls that he's building. But this guy is just really dead set on trying to get over here. Now, I actually do see that guy in the background, but I knew that he was a little bit of an inexperienced player because he didn't really try to do anything. So I was just waiting for this guy to push me, and I ended up getting a pretty good one shot there with the pump. And then after going a little bit higher and trying to find this guy, I end up going right over the top, and he ends up jumping down, so I had the high ground again. Now, at this point, I don't know exactly where he's at, so I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Still looking around for him, I still can't find him. So at this point, I figure it'd be a good time to see if I could go ahead and snipe that inexperienced player. So I'm peeking around the corner to see if he's still there, and just like I suspected, there he is. So I peek over the top, get an easy headshot, and that's a really easy elimination, and some more loot over there that I can go get later. Now, this guy, I still don't know where he's at, and I'm running kind of low on materials at this point, so I'm playing very cautiously and trying to maintain the high ground because I know that if we end up getting into a skirmish, I'm not going to be able to reestablish control. Now at this point, I don't know where he's at, so I figured that he was either trying to destroy the bottom of the ramp and break it all down, or he was trying to do something cheeky and go on the edge, or he had already left. Now it turns out he was actually on the bottom floor this whole time. And I hear another guy here, and I think this is the same guy, but I end up getting a really nice headshot for 209 damage and find exactly what I needed to get my head back into this fight with that Chug Jug. So I turtle up and take the Chug Jug. Now, like I said a second ago, I thought that was the guy that I was originally fighting, but it turns out that was another guy, and he was a completely different opponent. But I ended up getting that kill pretty simply just by using my sound and really getting a good shot on this guy with some good accuracy and a nice headshot. Now I hear this guy actually jump down, and I don't know where he's at. So the second I heard that sound, I wanted to try to get up as fast as I could. I kept blocking myself in, so I kept having to reset and try to ramp back up. And eventually I managed to do it, but I still couldn't find this guy. So at this point, I'm really confused because I don't know where the heck this guy is gone. Because I'm not hearing him anywhere, I'm not seeing him anywhere, so I'm just trying to get the high ground and really utilize the fact that I can third-person peek up here in case he tries to do something cheeky from the bottom level. Now, I still can't see him anywhere, so at this point I'm thinking that he's probably started bailing because the storm circle's only got 30 seconds, but then I hear some C4 and I know it's high time to get out of there because I figured he was going to explode the whole thing. And turns out that's exactly what he was trying to do. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see if I can get a nice shot on him through the window, but I actually hear him open a door on the bottom floor and go through it. And so at this point, I know that he's down here, and it's pretty easy, but me being the nervous person I am, I whiff a couple shots, and I miss some pretty easy stuff, but I end up getting a nice 6 damage headshot, and then a nice 95, and then finishing him off with the pump switch, just like that, and getting a bunch of good loot from this guy. Basically just bullets, and that's actually it. Now I wanted to go loot that other guy, but the storm does so much damage in this mode that I can't afford to take any damage from it. So I need to start moving now. Now I end up making it out of the storm, losing a lot of HP. I probably should have left a little sooner, but that other guy was really making me nervous and I didn't want to get caught out. But in the end, it ended up working out anyway, so I guess it's okay. But just something to think about whenever you're playing this game mode, which it's gone now, so that's kind of unfortunate, but you never know if there will be another mode like this coming out in the future. So at this point, I'm next to Dusty Divot, and this was right around whenever Dusty Divot came out when I got this footage, so I knew that there was going to be at least one person down there. And I saw the Power Gauntlet get dropped, or the Infinity Gauntlet rather, sorry about that, all you Marvel fans out there, and I see the new Thanos getting picked. So I'm waiting for him really to just kind of charge up that jump so that I can get an easy headshot. But it turns out I don't get the chance. But I do see a guy over here off in the distance trying to build up, and it didn't seem like he was very experienced either, as he was just kind of running around, being very haphazard with the decision making he was having. But I didn't want to rush him because I didn't have enough health to do so. I had the shield and I had the mats, I just didn't have the health, so I wanted to play every advantage that I could in my favor and just wait for this next storm circle. Now as the next storm circle starts pushing in, I really want to try to contest this guy because I really need something like a med kit, cozy campfire, or bandages. And at this point I'll take any of those things because I'm so low. But I was waiting for this guy to peek his head out and try to shoot the new Thanos, and he does just that, except he doesn't stay still long enough for me to line up a shot. So I didn't want to take any unnecessary risks by shooting him, alerting him, and then not having the surprise element anymore. and I know that the next Thanos is just over that mountain, so I'm also trying not to draw attention to him either, while also trying to make sure I move around just in case this guy did actually see me, because I'm running the Technique skin and she kind of stands out a little bit against this green terrain. So I decided to go ahead and start moving in on this guy, because the storm circle was really going to be a pain if I didn't start moving, and like I said before, you cannot take damage to this storm. So I start moving in on this guy, and I hear the new Thanos up top. So I figured that this was going to get pretty sticky pretty quick. And seeing the Thanos move over on my minimap and seeing those two players contesting him and trying to kill him, I miss my shot on the Thanos there, but I do get a little bit of extra damage and end up dropping that guy's shield down, making an easy kill for Thanos. Now at this point, Thanos actually like jumped down to try and kill that guy, and he actually ended up taking out the ramp. And so I didn't know what was going on, so I went into full panic mode, but Thanos jumps up, I shoot him down with a Scar, I'm really low, and I see this guy, and I know the Infinity Gauntlet has been dropped. So at this point, I'm rushing it, and I'm booking it, trying to get over here, and I hear him pick it up, but look at this shot right there. I killed him right as he picked up the Gauntlet. That's something that doesn't happen too often. Bet you've never seen that. I get the Infinity Gauntlet, and at this point, I'm hyped. I've got 8 kills without the Infinity Gauntlet, so I'm feeling like a pretty good player. So there's only 2 players left, and this is on a big hill. This guy was inexperienced, so he was a pretty easy pickup. And now, I finally have some room to breathe and look for this last player. So at this point, I knew that this last player didn't have any building, so he was probably not that much of an experienced player either. Quick tip for you guys on the last Storm Circle, and this applies to duos, squads, solos, whatever you're playing, that if you're in the final Storm Circle and you can't find that last opponent, and you don't see any building anywhere, it may mean that that opponent is a little more inexperienced in the game and isn't very comfortable with building. But that's not the case. The guy was just on the other side of this mountain. So I see him over there, and so at this point I'm trying to take some natural cover behind this ramp in case he pops up, while also using my third person peeking advantage to see if I can spot him on the other side so I know when to jump up, as the Thanos in this game mode has a little bit of less health than it did whenever he first launched, so I didn't want to take any risks. Now I jump up and decide to go ahead and jump over to this guy. This guy ends up falling down there, and he's not the very smartest player, not the best mechanically either, so it was a pretty easy elimination. Just used my laser beam, and then I popped a good old Orange Justice BM on this guy, and just like that, I pick up the Victory Royale in this updated Thanos event. So that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a big fat thumbs up, and if you really liked it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye bye.